Coming up next on Focus, we'll hear from Shane Stanford as he tells us a little bit about his story and some of the books that he's got coming out. All that coming up next on Focus. And welcome back to Focus. With me now is Shane Stanford. Shane, tell us a little bit about you and your history and what's been going on in your life.
Well, Dean, I am a United Methodist pastor and have been for 14 years, and most people in the area will know me from Asbury United Methodist Church in Petal. I had the opportunity, along with my wife and family, to found that church in 1996, and it was a contemporary United Methodist congregation.
Wow, so you've had a varied career, but you've been in the Methodist denomination working.
Shallow water, yes, right.
Shallow water. I know that you've written one book previously with Dr. Kent, right?
That's right.
And tell me a little bit about that book, because we're going to talk about your second book. You got a new book coming out. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but tell us about the first book.
Salt and Light is the name of the book, and it's called, the subtitle is 25 Days for Making Life Matter. And we noticed that as it began to coalesce, that this was looking more like a book than it was just a series of devotions. That came out in April of 2003 and did very well. Had a great response. It's still having a great response, and have thoroughly enjoyed that process. And that was really the first time that either of us did any type of writing formally. And about a year and a half ago, had a second manuscript that was accepted by Abingdon Press in Nashville, and that, of course, is the 7 Next Words. And am very blessed that my third book will come out next spring, also by Abingdon, and that will be on the Beatitudes. So.
Okay, so something to look forward to. Not only the second book, which is just now out.
Yes, that's
but
right.
this third one coming short on the heels of that.
And so, as though I didn't have enough to do with everything else in my life, I also am married to a wonderful woman who's a professor of education at William Carey. We have 3 small daughters.
Wow.
And also with the church work, writing has become that new hobby, a great hobby.
Yeah, well, and I know writing takes up a lot of time.
It does.
I guess, is there a certain time you sit down and just go, okay, I'm going to write?
Well, usually from 4:30 to 6 in the morning before the girls get up, and then late at night I do a lot of writing. You'll hear writers talk about having a minimum number of words every day that they want to be able to get on paper, and mine is 1,000 words a day. I try to get 1,000 words a day. So.
Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. How long does it take you? About 2 hours to get 1,000 words?
Well, it depends. It depends on if things are going well that day. It could take an hour, and then if it's like most days, it could take 3 or 4 hours, and I'll get 2 words on the paper. I sat for 3 days with the title of the final chapter of this last book sitting there, and wondering if I would ever be able to finish that thing. But God was gracious and finally, gave me something to put on paper to ease my pain.
Now, do you use a computer? You
I
write longhand?
I use computer, and of course the back of napkins, postcards, bulletins.
Whenever
you name
a
it.
thought comes to your
right.
mind, and you've got to write it down before you forget it. Huh?
Anywhere I can. I guess the strangest place was my hand.
Oh, really?
I was sitting somewhere. I had a pen, didn't have a paper in sight, and had a thought that I wanted to capture for a particular section that I was doing in the newest book, and wrote it. And of course, it stayed on my hand for about a week and a half, and I've taken a lot of ribbing for that one.
So did you use permanent ink? I'm wondering.
Well, you would have thought so. I thought I bathed better, actually.
We're going to have to check behind his ears, I guess. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the 7 next words.
That's right.
All right, we'll talk about that when we come back on Focus. And welcome back to Focus with me, Shane Stanford, and we've been talking about a little bit about some of the writing that you've been doing. One of the unique, kind of interesting perspectives or part of your life is your past story, things that have gone on with your health, I guess it is. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm a hemophiliac and have been, of course, since birth. And in 1986, we discovered that through the medicines used to treat hemophilia, that I was also HIV positive. And 4 years later, we discovered that I was also hepatitis C positive. And so for the last 20 some odd years, have lived with that information, and that goes back to my relationship with Ronnie Kent. He was the one who actually tested me years ago when I was 16 years old, and was the one who told me of my condition, and sort of developed that relationship from there. But my health has always informed my faith. It has been that point of reference for me. I grew up a very faithful person, involved in the church. I had a mom who was just an incredible, godly woman who kept me centered in that. Married a wonderful woman who is also a godly woman. And so, although I tell people as I go and speak about my health that, of course, for those I love, I would love to give that away, all of the things that I struggle with. There are times when I wouldn't, because it has really shaped and formed who I am as a person of faith. And I think as people read my work, whether it's Salt and Light or whether it's the 7 Next Words or the 8 Blessings that will come out next year, they will see that my story is integrated into the gospel narrative that I talk about. Because I don't believe that any one of us, regardless of whether we have diseases or whatever our struggles may be, it's very hard for us to disconnect our stories from how we see the way Christ works in our world.
Yeah. You know, when Dr. Kent walked in the room and told you that, hey, I've done this test and this is what it says, what happened? What was the reaction? How did that affect you?
Well, first of all, those who know Ronnie Kent know that he is probably one of the most exceptional human beings on this earth. He is just an amazing man with an amazing family. They just are a testament to the power of God. He did it in a very compassionate, a very caring way. I could see, and I still will remember the look on his face. I mean, it was as painful for him to say as it was for me to hear. It was shock, of course. I was 16 years old, had just started dating the woman that I would eventually marry, and she was with me, actually. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, this can't be happening. And so you go through all of the emotions that I think are normal for hearing any such news as that. But at the same time, there was also always a very eerie peace about it. I knew that no matter what happened in my life, that the God I served loved me so dearly that no matter what road I went down, that I would not walk that road alone. And that has become a consistent message of my testimony and my pastoring, to be able to share with people that, you know, we worship a God that loves us so desperately and so passionately that it doesn't matter where we are. God's going to meet us there. And whether it's in dealing with a disease or a difficult marriage, or whether it's problems at work, God's not afraid of those edges in our lives.
He can handle that.
He can handle
it. He's big enough.
Oh, by far.
Tell me, that was 20 years ago. Is that right?
Yes.
And 20 years ago would be back during, I guess, the mid-'80s.
Yes.
And hearing that information then, if I remember right, because I was about 19 or 20, I guess, somewhere around in there, maybe younger than that now to think about it, but that was almost a death sentence.
Sure. Yeah.
But you're in great health, it seems.
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, first of all, I think I just think it's the hand of God. I believe that I'm here for a reason, and until that reason is no longer in that plan, I think I'm going to be just fine. I also attribute it to the fact that there's a lot of joy in my life, a sense of humor. I love to laugh, as Anthony today has learned, who is the producer of this show. And you know, I see a lot of people in this world who deal with struggles, Dean, who really, there's only two choices. You either are going to face that struggle, and you do so knowing that every day really is a gift, because none of us are given a promise that we're going to have 30 years, 40 years. Or you can kind of deteriorate to the corner and feel sorry for yourself. And I just decided early on that I didn't want to do that. And I had a lot of people who were encouraging me and supporting me. Of course, my girls, I have 3 daughters, Sarah Grace, who's 9, and Juliana, who's 6, and Emily, who's 2. There's no better reason in the world to get up and be joyful than those 3 gifts. And so medicines have not hurt, and great doctors, but more than anything, I would just have to say it's just been the gift of God.
Wow. What about does it affect the way you live your day-to-day life?
Of course, I take all of the regimen of medicines that people are familiar with. There are days that I just don't feel good, and I try not to allow that to to mess with my daily routine.
Sure.
But there are just times that I'm tired and just normal things that you feel. I'll tell you, I have more trouble with just getting older. Mm-hmm. the aches and pains of everyday life is what really is affecting me now. But I'm very blessed. I'm in great health, and I just have a lot to be thankful for.
Right. I think that thankfulness comes through in your 7 next words.
Yes.
Tell us about how that worked out, and tell us a little bit about the book to start with.
Well, the book is, we're all familiar with the 7 last words of Christ on the cross. We've just finished up the Easter season. And, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It is finished. Those sayings of Jesus. And the phrase words really means encounters or phrases. It's not just one word. And we were sitting several years ago in a worship design team meeting at Asbury Church where I was pastoring, and we were thinking about the post-Easter season. And I asked the question, I wonder if there are any words of Christ after the resurrection that would fit in the same vein as the 7 last words. And my worship director at the time, who's very talented, a wonderful person, said, well, why don't you go find that out? And I said, I certainly would. And discovered that there were 7 distinct corresponding next words after the resurrection that seemed to match up thematically with the 7 last words on the cross. An example would be the first last word on the cross is, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't understand who I am. The first next word is Mary Magdalene's encounter with Jesus at the tomb, and basically he says to Mary, Mary, who are you looking for? And there's this issue of identity. And so you have this whole set of people who do not know Jesus and do not understand who he is as they're putting him to death. And then he has this encounter with Mary, and he calls her by name. And by calling her by name, that identity is assured. And you just see it's like he's answering the despair of the last word with this next word. And this carries on to the encounter with the women on the road, the walk to Emmaus, the encounter with Thomas is the 4th word. The Great Commission text is the 5th word, go into all the world. Have you caught any fish is the 6th one, where he meets them on the shore of Galilee again. And then the final one, of course, is the Ascension, when he says, the Father is going to send you the Spirit. I have to go so that you can see this gift come to life in you.
I've always thought, we always talk about Good Friday being the time that, you wonder who is that good for, and we spend a lot of time on that, and we spend a lot of time on the death and the burial, but it seems like we don't spend a whole lot of time on the resurrection and what comes next, and that sounds like what you've been able to do with this book.
Well, and I hope so, and I hope that by people looking at these encounters, they will see that time is really not an issue for God. That for God, this was an event that sought to bring forth the reconciliation, the redemption, and the restoration of God's children. And that from the cross all the way to the coming of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, that God is intimately and intricately connected to not only our lives, but more personally to my life and to your life.
Well, it sounds great. Now tell us, we got a couple minutes left,
Sure.
about the next book coming out in the spring.
It is called The 8 Blessings, and it is a story of the Beatitudes, written from the perspective when my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago. I found 5 translations of the Beatitudes sitting by her table, and I pinned those to my wall for a year and read them, every translation, and it's just my thoughts on, more in a contemporary way, of how the Beatitudes speak to us.
Sounds good. We'll certainly be on the lookout for that.
Thank you.
If I want to get this new book, where do I go to get that?
I mean, if you're internet savvy, you can go to Amazon. You can go to any of the Christian bookstores in town. Books A Million will have it. Anywhere they sell books, pretty much can get it for you.
All right, now I know you are a friend of Robert St. John's.
That's
Probably
right.
got all kinds of stories you can tell us.
That's
Do you have
right.
anything quick?
Just everything he learned in the kitchen, he learned from me.
Is that right?
That's right. No, great guy.
And speaking of writing, Robert, of course, does quite a bit of writing and is able to share with us some of the thoughts that he's had in some of his columns.